On today's episode, we have a very special guest. We've got my cousin, who is a sound healer,
Yeah.
practitioner, wellness guru, all those things and above. And I'm excited to introduce Crystal and start by just telling us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Crystal DeBerry. I am Iman's cousin. And I am the founder and CEO of Natural Wonder Inc. And we are a um, business. Lifestyle company. And so we have three umbrellas. Well, we have Spirit, which is it encompasses our jewelry, crystal jewelry, as well as altar tools, smudging sticks, as well as food, which I am about to launch my first vegan, alkaline vegan, actually, seasoning mix,
Oh,
as well, yes, as well as sound healing.
yes.
So there's three umbrellas.
So, as you guys hear, Crystal is a jack of all trades. So this is a lot, right? And my perspective is a little bit different, right? So we were raised together. What I like to call Greensboro D-berries, right?
Correct.
From Greensboro, North Carolina. And
Yep.
what was the catalyst for this shift, right? So you're doing a lot of healing and energy work. Where did that come from? Where did that inspiration come from?
I think honestly the inspiration behind it all was your parents, which was your mother and your father. Of course, your father is my mother's brother, and they were like the hippies of the family, right? And so because I did spend so much time with them, I loved it because it always gave me a different perspective of life, other than the things that were presented to me. I knew that I thought differently. I just didn't know how to quite tap into that. And then as time went on, I gradually made a shift to this lifestyle. But what really kind of sealed it all is that I was in a relationship I was not happy with. And at that moment, like at that time when I realized, okay, it's time for me to move on, it was like I had this whole spiritual awakening, right? And so at the same time of this spiritual awakening, letting go of this 5-year relationship that I was in, I decided, you know what, I should start a business all at the same time. So I started with making copper and gemstone bracelets. Copper and crystal bracelets, and then kind of added the crystals, individual crystals, and the smudging sticks and the altar tools and different things like that. And because I am such a foodie, it all just kind of rolled into my living. So then it rolled into my food. So I ended up I was already pescatarian. I've been pescatarian for like 4 years at the time, but I was still eating more vegan vegetarian than anything. So then that rolled into me becoming vegan, and that rolled into me becoming alkaline vegan. And then also in the process of all of that, I got more and more into meditation. When I got into meditation, found that I gravitated towards sound healing. I started to listen to a lot of them on like YouTube and different things like that. And so I felt called to it. It was like almost, I say that it called me, it selected me. And so I started looking into a program because I wanted people to feel just as empowered as it made me feel. And so I started looking into programs that I could get into it, and came across the program called Sound Embrace, which was here in Atlanta. And the first thing she said to me when we got on the call was, "We're selling empowerment." And I was like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. This is
Full
it. That
circle.
like sealed the deal for me. Yeah, it was a full circle moment. And so this all kind of came out of my own spiritual awakening and my own healing. And it's just kind of wrapped it up. That all happened along with the business. And so I just started sharing my life and, made a company out of it.
And here's how I know that I always call it like breadcrumbs, and for me are like breadcrumbs are like these little nuggets that at the moment don't feel like they connect, but then later on it's like, oh, like this makes it, it's a part of like a web, right? Or the story.
Right.
And what's crazy is, what's not crazy, right? It's interesting, and it's so important. I feel like as Black people, as we share our awakenings, our awareness, because there is so much stuff that happens in the bloodline that you do
Yes.
not know unless you have conversations. So here's the
Yes.
deal. My cousin has told you her story. I got out of a 5-year relationship. I was
Yes.
not happy. I was not in a aligned place. I was going through a deep spiritual healing, and I too, at the same time, right? So these aren't experiences that I was communicating openly when it happened,
Right.
but on the other side of it, had a very similar. And now we've got recovering strong Black women, and just so interesting about like it's why healing is so important, because it's
Correct.
not just about you. And when you
Correct.
get your stuff together, you heal not only yourself but the entire bloodline. Because
Right.
what I know is that there's a pattern in the bloodline that somewhere thought that these patterns were okay, and now we're releasing them. Right? It is what it is.
Correct.
You operate from a level of awareness, and then you move forward.
Right, most definitely. And also, what it does, it opens you up to other high level ideas. It opens you up to other experiences to become in alignment with, and it helps you to really realize to really to get to a place where you are fully open and you're fully able to to manifest and to become a real alchemist in
Yeah.
things.
In real life.
Eh,
Like in real
right,
life, it's
right.
like, ding, this, this happens, and you will experience these moments like on the other side of like this healing phase or this alignment.
Yes,
You tell other, you can only tell select people, because other people might think you're crazy, and it's like, baby,
correct.
I'm not crazy. I'm aware and I'm blessed. I don't know what
Correct.
to like, I
Correct.
felt it, here it is. And I hold openness and awareness for that. And what's, I think, also important, just conversation for women, is that a lot of times when you're going through those breakups or whatever it is, right? So our situation might be a breakup. Other people might be employment. It might be loss. It might be divorce. Like there's a lot of different things that can happen. And I
Right.
think in the moment, it's really important that people are aware that you have two. It's like, it's the red pill and the blue pill. It really,
Correct.
and you have two different choices, and you can make the choice of to be a victim. And to be a victim doesn't mean that, I don't like, doesn't mean that it was all your fault, but
Correct.
to be a victim means that you, or whatever dynamic, you're allowing yourself to remain stuck in that narrative and to be there, right? So you have made a house in your own despair, or the despair that has manifested.
Most
Or you
definitely.
can choose to pick yourself up, whatever
Right.
that looks like, and say, never again, or I want to do this differently. I want to experience it differently. And that's exactly what you did. You said,
Right.
okay, this ain't working, but I ain't crazy. Like I know there is better. I know
Right.
there's and once you made yourself aware, then all these amazing, like all your healing gifts that were already there,
Correct.
just started to flow through.
Correct. And and one thing with me and with the and with the breakup of my relationship is that um I started to look at, where am I responsible for
Yes.
what happened in this relationship? Where am I? Where's the responsibility that I have to take on for why I got to this point that I am unhappy?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that I have done? And so I really took from that angle and really looked to see what my patterns were, what
Yeah.
my boundaries were not,
Yeah.
and what I was doing to make myself unhappy as well in that situation. And once I really start focusing on myself and realizing, and and the thing is that we're told that it is selfish to focus on ourselves, right?
Yes.
But the truth is that that's really where the answers lie. When you really get a deeper connection with yourself, when you really look at your own patterns, when you really look at your own emotions, and you realize that you are responsible for pretty much all of it,
Yeah.
and to see what's not working and what needs to be healed, that's when amazing things happen.
Oh, because the answer, what's crazy too. So that was very much my similar experience. But like when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I remember having a very clear conversation with two of my best friends, and I said, I like, never again, never again. Like I was just, I said, listen, I am going to, anything that is not in alignment for my healing, my growth and development, I don't have space for it. I'm
Right.
committed to therapy, to meditation, to journaling, to figuring out me, so I don't have to continue with these patterns. And what's miraculous is that we're taught to find these answers in everyone,
Yep.
but good teachers and spiritual awakenings will teach you that you are the answer. And once you get
Right.
home to you, then everything else is available. And like it's
Right.
like differently. So
Right. Yeah. One of the things is that with this whole transition and my whole spiritual awakening is that I dropped the religion, and I realized that religion was the biggest teacher to show you, to tell you to look outside of yourself for answers.
mhm. Yeah.
And it wasn't until, like I said, into that shift that I realized that it's all here, and that I needed to sit and listen and really figure things out.
And it's always been here. And
Yes,
I feel like the what people do with religion, right? So I'm not talking about people's practices, right? I'm talking about
correct.
human manipulation when it comes to it, is that they teach
Yes,
you that there is division. And
correct.
true, the thing you see amongst all religion is that true, genuine, the spirit of it is it's all about love. And
Correct.
anything that is teaching you anything outside of love and limitation, that I don't know who source that isn't mine. So
Right.
and I don't know about you, but like certainly for me too, as a part of that exploration is I have also, when I was younger, I used to, because my parents, to your point, were very progressive in the
Yes.
South, South,
Yes.
where it, like, even to this day, I like, even when I talk to my mom, I'm like, where did y'all get this from? Like, where did you find the audacity to think differently?
Yes.
Because I can't tell you, of all the places I've been, I don't know one other family that has the same experience as me.
Yeah.
And to think differently is so beautiful. And but along that path, and when you're younger, you start to like defend your view or your experiences. And I feel like as I kind of came out my spiritual awakening, I was like, believe what you want, baby. Like, believe what you
Right.
want. Now, if you choose, if you gain awareness, if you have insight, then I'm here and available. But I do not,
Correct.
in my perspectives, my belief systems, it's personal, right? It's personal, like, information that you share with your OBGYN, right? It doesn't have to be shared with everybody. um
Correct.
because a lot of people will make you feel a certain type of way, and like, I refuse to be persecuted about something that I feel called, right? I
Correct.
can't challenge your calling, please don't challenge mine.
Exactly.
we gotta
Exactly.
we gotta get there, and I think it's definitely a challenge. I can't speak for everybody, and it's which is why I think it's so remarkable that you're a woman of color in this space doing this, because we do not see in our culture, in our community, we don't. It's not large that you see people that look like us doing these
Right.
things. You know.
That is very, very true. Like, I I find that we just tend to go along with these patterns and don't look outside of what we're told and what we're taught to see what really works for us. We really get caught up in, this is how I was raised, and that's it.
Mhm.
Whereas you don't know what you might connect with. Now, I think for me, I always knew that there was something different. I always knew that I had a different thought. Like I said, I always knew that I was going to do something different and out of the ordinary. I just didn't know what that was. But I always knew that I had a different school of thought than than what I was given.
Mhm.
You know, and the thing is that when I did tap into that, I feel like it saved me.
Mhm. I think
It
because
really, it saved me, it empowered me, it has made me into a beautiful woman.
Mhm.
you
because
know
the other perspective will teach you to shut down, is that there's something wrong with you. And I feel
Correct.
like for us, we are often in situations where people are telling from every direction, Black women, you're wrong.
Yep.
Right? You, from work, relationships, whatever. I feel
Most
like
definitely.
there's a heavy push, and I'm not challenging anybody else's experience, but I'm telling you my experience is I feel like that comes from a lot of different directions. So
Right.
it is something to go out and say, I don't have to respect or receive your opinion. I feel beautiful in who I am and what I bring to the table, and I'm a ride with
Correct.
it, beside it, and I'm gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
on going. Um,
Right.
because that is true bravery, because there's not examples. There's not large
Right.
examples of people doing that. Which I feel like when establishing boundaries and taking these leaps of faith and developing your spiritual practice, you like, it's like going to work. Like, you're going
Yeah.
out not knowing how it's going to come about, and it really takes a lot of courage to go out and say, I don't know what this is, but something is calling me, something is aligning me,
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
pursue
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to go against the grain and really stand up for who you are and what you believe in. Or even not even to, like you said, not to defend it is
Mhm.
also another thing. Just to realize, I am who I am. It is what it is, and deal with it.
You ain't even got to like it. You ain't even got to like it.
Right.
Okay, so you're going through this experience. You are, healing. These gifts start to become more evident and clear. how did you first come into contact or even know what sound healing is, right? So
Right.
I'm thinking about the woman who's like, what is sound healing? Like, what does that even look like? What was your
Right.
experience with that?
Right. Well, what happened was is that, like I said, I started to get more and more into meditation, and as time went on, YouTube
Oh yeah.
was a big thing for me. So I started doing a lot of like guided meditations, and they would start suggesting things, and I came across the crystal bowls, and I fell in love with them. Like I would literally listen to them on my way to sleep, and then next thing I knew, I was meditating to them more and more. And then it became a ritual. Like essentially, is that all of my meditative practice be started to become sound healing. And since I had already started the spirit side of the business with the jewelry and the spiritual tools. I wanted to offer a service. Didn't know what it was at first, but because
Right.
even before this, I knew I wanted to offer a service. And then I started playing around recording myself doing guided meditations.
Mhm.
Just something I would do just randomly, because what I did notice is that there are not a lot of Black voices in sound meditations,
Right.
right? And guided meditations. And so I started playing around with it. And it was like I had a voice tell me one day, like, okay, this is it.
Is it?
This is it. Sound healing is what you need to do. And so like I said, I started looking into more and more programs. And there are a ton of
Right.
programs out there, right? But there's some that are like 2 days. There are some that are 3 weeks. There are some that are longer than that. Just so happened the one that I'm in is a 13-week. Well, it's a program of 13 weeks, but you have the full year to finish the program. And also the owner of the program, her name is Danielle Hall. She was, accredited. She had worked with many different companies. She had been in, different magazines. She was part of
Real. She was about it.
these. Yeah, she really was. She was really a heavy force in the sound healing world. And as I got more and more looking into her, I was like, I think this is the one. I think this is the program right here. And then the fact that it was here in Atlanta, which is where I live, I was like, okay, that's just another sign, right? And then when like I said, I got on that call and she's like, we're selling empowerment. And I was like, yes, like
Yeah.
that's all that I really wanted to do with Natural Wonder is pretty much empower people. And so that just kind of solidified the deal. And next thing I knew, child, I was enrolled.
Doing it. Living
Yeah. Yeah, I was enrolled, and I'm really grateful for the program. I've learned a lot, especially because what I love about her structure is she also has a degree in metaphysics. And included in the program is also doing your own healing work. So you have a whole metaphysical practice. You have affirmations you have to do. You literally have to tap into yourself. And she tells you have to continue to do your own work in order to hold space for people in this way,
right.
because this really does tap into people's emotions and feelings, and you have to be able to to convey that same type of healing for people. And so that is another thing that I've really loved, is that has helped me just to further my healing, because healing's a lifestyle, which is why I say that Natural Wonder is a lifestyle, healing lifestyle brand, because it's not just one thing. We are many, many layers. And as time goes on and as you go through healing, you start peeling back more and more layers, more and more
It's
layers. And
like
it
an
might
onion,
be two,
baby.
yeah,
Like,
it might be
damn,
two
you
steps forward
in it.
and three steps back. And so it is, I really do appreciate the fact that it has pushed me to do my own work. And even with the challenges that I've had emotionally this year, losing my father, caring for one of our loved ones with cancer, just my own, things that I'm unhealing and going through. And so that has been a great support, even going through this program.
And what's beautiful about her program is that, and I think I even share with you a lot of the ones that you do see, and I think it's important for anybody listening, is
Mm-hmm.
vet whoever is doing it, understand
Mm-hmm.
their credentials, and then also understand their commitment to your practice. Because
Right.
if people are offering 7-Eleven type of training, that might be a great introduction, but
Right.
it's important to kind of understand like the practice, and a part of the practice is, and think about it in anything of, you want someone to be about what they are doing over you, or that's
Correct.
what they're providing, right? Like you want your doctor to be accredited. Now in this
Correct.
case, you don't necessarily need accreditation, right? Because you already have the gifts, but you want someone to teach you how to tap in. And then you also
Correct.
want to make sure that when you're tapping into somebody's, essence, ors, or chakras, that
Yes.
you're not depositing any of your mess in today's
Correct.
right?
Most definitely. Yeah. I, especially with this type of energy work, I would want someone that is living the life that, that they are, that they're trying to help provide for me. Right. So, I still I use sound meditations every day. I play for myself as far as sound healing sessions. Matter of fact, I did a 40-minute session, probably 30 minutes before we hopped on this call, for myself. And I use it definitely to get through my own healing.
Right.
And you definitely, you want someone that is the experienced, as well as that's in the mix of all of this.
Yeah.
Because one thing is that this energy is real. It
Yeah.
is a very real thing. And you just, like you said, you don't want anybody just depositing anything and everything on you. And so, one of the things I love is that she teaches you how to, like, let's say I've had a bad day, because I'm human,
Right.
right?
All
Let's
right.
say you had a bad day, but we're taught how to get ourselves through that, to still be able to hold space for people and still be able to care for ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm with it. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm looking back, um, and my first experience with sound healing came from Reiki, and I
Hmm.
love Reiki. Like Reiki has been my ish for a long time, which is also strange because my parents had introduced me to Reiki. I felt called to like Reiki, um,
Hmm.
and for me, one thing that I use, you talk about vibes. The number one vibe that I kind of use when determining if I should go with a practitioner, I don't care. And I think it's also something that's nurtured, but I don't care if it's on social media, on their website, on a phone call. I can feel that something is right for me.
Oh,
Like
most definitely.
I can Google like something about it, and I don't like argue or rationalize anymore. I'm like,
Hmm.
you go in, and I've had some Reiki people that are just, hey, here's a Reiki. But the ones that I have stuck with for like years, you go in, it's these full-breasted hugs, and how you
Yeah.
doing, lovely, and you smell it, like you feel the shift the moment you park. Not even, you ain't got to
Right.
open the door, you feel it, right?
Right.
I've had Reiki virtually. Crystal has performed sound healing on me virtually. Like
Hmm.
there's so many different ways to experience it. And the thing I would tell people to just use your antennas, like use your vibes. If something tells you it's off, then be off, right?
Right.
And also some like, and if you feel like you might be a little biased, kind of check your ego too in the car and say, hey,
Right.
discern spirit, help me to understand with ease if this is the right person for me.
Correct. To bring up the word ego, that is something that, I think we're taught that ego is one thing and one thing only. And it is amazing how much I consult my ego, how
Mhm.
much I've learned to really recognize when my ego is at play, and when to let go of that, or when I need to shift from that, or when I need to tell my ego, when I need to bring my higher self over my ego.
Right.
And even with this, because I don't know all, I'm learning,
Right.
but that's the way I view life either way, is that I don't know all. I'm constantly learning. And I learn from my clients all the time. I did a sound bath with someone yesterday, and she said something to me that has really even changed the way I am going to even be starting my sound baths. But it's something that she picked up from it, from the energy that I was giving off, that I didn't even know I was giving off.
Hmm.
And that kind of stuff I found very powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, ego is a big thing that is big and healing, that I think a lot of people try to skip.
Yeah, you do try to skip. And the thing that I have realized, also from my spiritual awakening, I feel like what I have come to understand the ego is, I feel like the ego is your safety belt. That's what it
Hmm.
that's what it attempts to do, right?
Hmm.
So the ego is it's basically a safety belt of fear a lot of times.
Correct.
And
Hmm.
it is trying to save you from unpleasant experiences or any chance that something could go wrong. A lot of times that's
Right.
kind of like my experience. So right, like you're driving, it's like your ego could be snatching on you, right? Like
Right.
a car accident. Like we're fine, the
Yeah.
road is clear, and the ego's trying to hold you back. And what your job is to understand and just kind of release and say, hey, we're okay.
Yeah.
And then to be aware, like, hey, I might be afraid. I
Right.
might need some safety, but the other side of the safety, the risk is so beautiful. And I'm willing to
Correct.
take the risk to have
Correct.
greater, right? I don't need to be protected 24/7, like because there's beauty in there is even beauty in mistakes, right?
Correct.
And there's this thought. One thing that drives me crazy about the spiritual community, right?
Hmm.
Is this notion that everything is always fine, that every day you
Yeah.
wake up and you are like, barfing rainbows.
Right.
Like,
And that right and
floating through.
that right there is the ego of the
Yeah,
spiritual community.
yeah,
Yes, most definitely. Because first of all, okay, spirituality without shadow work, just looking at the other side of the ego, looking at the ego is
right,
just not it's not it's void. Like there's just
right.
you have to do it, right? And your ego is there because it's sort of your survival mode. It's just trying to keep you safe,
Mhm.
right? In most instances. And so you really have to learn how to push that aside and push through those feelings. And that's one of the things that I love about sound healing is that it teaches you how to really tap into those emotions
Mhm.
and to move past them.
Mhm.
That's the one thing that I love.
To
The
bring
biggest thing that I love about sound healing.
now, this is my experience from doing sound healing, whether through Reiki or through you. This is how
Hmm.
I kind of describe it.
Okay.
What the benefits for me, like, and not everyone does, like when they do Reiki, do sound healing. So I like people that do a fuse. But
Right.
what I will tell you the difference between Reiki and sound healing, and imagine like Reiki as sound healing without the bowls, right? So it's energy work through your hands, right?
Right.
And sometimes I could still feel my mind like racing or like my chakras being blocked. And as the practitioner kind of works through, I normally start to come out of my head.
Hmm.
The difference for me with sound healing is I come out of my head way quicker, like
Hmm.
way quicker. Uh,
Hmm.
Crystal did one, I think like a week or two ago, and I instantly was out of my head. And what you will know, like from anybody who has started to meditate or whatever, thoughts are still gonna come. Like
Right.
that's the part no one tells you, right? Like start
Right.
still come. But for me, sound healing was just like a steady like flow of light, of just like of calm, of peace, of like, hey, like rest here, look
Right.
at it, we're gonna go through, right?
Yes.
And really
Yes.
help me to get out of my head. So that's my experience. What have your feelings or sensations been? Oh, the other thing too, and this always happens, especially when I'm doing like getting spiritual services done. My hands always get like, I know it's good if my hands get hot. If
Hmm.
my hands warm up, it's something about it. I'm like, listen, spirit is working, right?
Right.
Something is
Right.
something's activated, something is flowing. That's my telltale sign. What
Right.
sensations do you feel?
I tend to, mine is my mind quieting down
Mhm.
because I am very much a mind racer,
Yep.
even through, and you're right. I think the biggest misconception about meditation is that you think that your mind has to be quiet, right? But the truth is, you're literally trying to stop billions of years of evolution to get your mind to be quiet,
Right.
right? And that's just not how the mind works. So what happens with me is I have all this mind chatter. I have it kind of comes and goes, but as time goes on and I get closer, fuller, more into the sound healing, that goes away,
Yeah.
right? Like my mind starts to settle. And even if those thoughts do come up, a lot of times I hold an intention and I come back to that intention just to get myself settled. Because sound healing for me is also about emotional discipline,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
About being able to sit in those emotions and to sit in those thoughts and to be able just to listen rather than try to fight against it.
Woo.
Because what the vibration does is, but that's the point. The vibration, it does it helps to move energy. It moves, and that causes the stir of the emotions. That can cause the stir of the thoughts, and that's what it does for me. But as time goes on, that does quiet for me. And then there are some days where I'll do a sound meditation, and my mind is able to quiet down pretty easily. There are
Mhm.
some days not so much, you know. So I think that people are always expecting this very one cookie cutter kind of thing that happens in meditation, but it can vary from day to day. And even with someone who's I consider myself experienced,
Right.
I still kind of struggle with that from time to time. But like I said, that's evolution at work.
Yeah, and that's a part of the experience, right? And something you said, I think that is really important is to kind of sit in awareness of those emotions, and that's one of the things I think a lot of times people are trying to bypass. And
Oh,
just
most
like the
definitely.
shadow work or the ego work, like the one thing I want people to kind of take away, well, one of many is you don't have to be ashamed whatever comes up, and
Correct.
allow yourself. I always talk about like feelings are like emotions in a room, or I talk about like this dance. And
Hmm.
when you go through your practice or meditation or sound healing or Reiki, it
Hmm.
provides you an opportunity to dance with those emotions, right? And
Correct.
not judgment, right? Just because you're dancing, you ain't got to take it home. Like you
Yes.
have to greet it. You have to say, "Hey,
Yes.
I know you're here. What do you need?" Right? It's having
Right.
a conversation because everything is coming to you for a reason, right? Even
Correct.
things you don't want to address, it's coming to you because it's like, hey, I'm here. I want you
Right.
to understand me, so
Right.
I too can go. Like I
Right. Yeah.
something
The
else.
biggest thing is that our emotions want to be seen, felt, and heard by us.
Mhm.
Right. And we do so much to suppress those emotions and to not feel things. Whereas, regardless of what you've been through in this life, your body holds that energy. And when it does come up in meditation, it's leaving. If you sit there and love yourself enough to sit there through it, it's leaving you. You don't have to do anything with it. Like you said, if you don't have to judge it, because that's really what gets us in trouble, is the fact that that we're always constantly judging these
Yes.
emotions, right? And that's really where it comes up. The emotion itself is not the problem. It's our judgment of those emotions that causes the suffering, you know and through meditation, that those things are coming up. And see, and the more you do it, the more you leave room to receive better things. Like, I have some of the best ideas during meditation, right? Like, that is when some of my best ideas come, is when I really sit and allow the emotions that are not serving me to be released, and then I'm able to make room for the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if not, then imagine like you got a crowded dance. And
Right.
if you don't make room for something else to come in, you're already at capacity. You can't handle
Yes.
nothing else good or like good, bad, or indifferent because
Right.
you've already blocked yourself off. So you've got to
Yeah.
process that stuff so that you can allow and hold intention for better stuff to come. Because
Correct.
like I really want especially Black women to know that you can live a different experience. And we
Oh,
haven't
most
been taught
definitely.
that. We ain't been taught that. Like we
No.
know suffering, right? We know working your butt off, taking care of your family, overworking,
Yep.
overachieving. What we don't know is rest. And one of the intentions that I brought into this year that I'm gonna bring into next year too is I said, I no longer will work hard. I no longer have to
Hmm.
work hard.
Yeah.
And it took me time to get that like wrapped around my head because I had to process the emotions that, I'm a hard worker. I used to wear that as a badge of honor. No, I'm
Right.
I'm an easy worker. It happens with, good things happen to me with ease. Right.
Correct.
I don't have to
Because
overwork.
right, because the truth is that you are the energy that creates that, right? And every dollar that you've ever made through all that hard work is because of you, not because your idea of you being a hard worker. It was because you put in the effort. And I think we've been conditioned all the way back to slavery, okay, that it is nothing but backbreaking work that is going to get you somewhere.
Oh,
Where
absolutely.
the truth is that if we really nurture ourselves and tap into who we really are and really connect with that all of that will attract all of that.
Mhm.
We will attract all of that. And because our biggest problem is that we're disconnected from really who we are.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't really know, and I have my moments where if I don't feel connected to Crystal, that I take the time to, to come back to me. I meditate more often. Shoot, this weekend I was actually quite proud of myself because, like, I went on a hike. Your brother and I, we, went on a hike, and then also I knew that I was feeling disconnected, so I got a hotel room and I connected with myself. And then this morning I did a sunrise sound meditation, and I did what I had to do to connect further with who I am, because when that's off, everything's off for me.
Because that's awareness. What you describe is awareness. And what you
Yes.
can't be is aware if you're suppressing things.
Correct.
I mean, you got to know. I think the thing that I'll tell people is, for me, if I'm feeling off, and I know there might be like an emotion behind it, right? I'm feeling off. I'm like, I know it's not just I'm off to be off. Like there's something behind there.
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself, and I used to, not embrace this word, but I will give myself the day to grieve.
Yes.
Whatever it is, right? We use grief, grief does not have to be in mourning. Sometimes it's like, I just need to get it out. And I don't know what it is, but I'm going to give myself the day. I do not have to be productive. The only thing I need to be is just be. And I'm going to sit. That might be, I might DoorDash food that day. I might drink a little champagne. I don't know, right? Like I might do I might do a bowl. I might cook. Whatever it is, I allow myself to experience that without judgment.
Right.
Without someone tell me this is how I ought to spend it. I'm just
correct.
My body, and it's like, hey, what do you need? And
right.
And that's also an easy way to kind of start the conversation of like, so what do you need? Like,
yes.
What off today? What do you all right? Like what's we haven't been taught to tune in because we have for so long been taught to take care of everybody else. But then what happens? No one's taking care of us.
So well, like I said earlier, we've been taught that it is selfish of us to focus on ourselves. Whereas that is where your real power lies, is really tapping into and being fully present in yourself, mind, body, and soul. That's really where it is. And that's the reason one of the biggest reasons that I love about sound healing is because those vibrations help me to tap into all of that. Like even when I had a day where I had a difficult conversation with someone, right? And I got angry and I was trying to figure out, okay, what got me to that point? And I took it to sound healing. I took it to the bowls and let the bowls do the work. And it all started to come up, and I cried. I let myself have that moment. I let myself have that release, but I used that vibration to really tap into those emotions and bring out what needed to come out. And that is one of the best things about sound healing to me, is that the fact that it taps into every cell, every nerve, and it really does move that energy and those emotions to really, open up yourself to brighter possibilities.
Yeah. It's almost like, I think of like the ocean, and then, you got a steady current, but you take in your hand, you go like this, and sometimes it can be a little cloudy. Sound healing allows you to like clear out the gunk. So then you kind of get still and kind of reconnect to something different. And then you wake up, and this has happened time and time again, whether you do a meditation for you to bed or whatever, you kind of give yourself those moments to be in awareness. And then you wake up and it's like, cool. Right?
Yeah.
Like you feel the shift, because everything is vibration.
Correct.
Whether we are, want to or not, right? This is a matter of science. Everything is vibration, even though it's all vibrating. So you can tap into that frequency, whether from a healing standpoint, to help you in your experience. And think about it like this, folks. When you think sound healing, also, you can take it back to the Black church. There's something in that music, right?
Oh, most definitely.
In that experience, you can be there and it fills you up, right? There's something healing in certain songs that you might experience, or certain memories. That's, sound, it allows you an opportunity to connect with something and to infuse that vibration into your own as a catalyst for your own healing and growth. And it's always been around. You just didn't know what to call it.
Correct. Correct.
Always been around.
Yeah, correct. And you're absolutely right. Everything is vibration. Everything is sound. In the beginning there was the word. The word is sound. Everything, whether it is, the computer we're on, whether it is our hand, everything is vibrating. And that's what another thing that I love about sound healing is that at its very basis, it is life. and
They
that
get
I
it.
love. And yeah. And it's you feel it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really makes it make a difference. The other thing I'm interested, and I can't wait to understand why, because for me, when I was younger, the way that I could feel emotions was often through music, right? Like it
Hmm.
always had a connection. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an A&R, right? My cousin's down in South Healing. We have another cousin that's an artist. A lot of our family has a lot of connection with music, and I can't wait for one moment to understand, because that's in the bloodline at this point, right? There's a
Yeah.
true connection in our essence, and I can't wait to figure out who, what cheat
Right.
we had,
Right.
you know
Well,
who,
and see, and that's the thing. At the very base, baby, we're African.
oh yeah.
That's that's
That's it.
that right there says it all.
Yeah.
Like that is the original sound is because you can hear it in everything.
Yeah.
So I think that the basis of that is kind of what it is. And but yeah, I do believe it is in our blood, and it is and I didn't set out to get into sound. You
Who
know what I
has
mean? Like,
to?
yeah. I didn't have to. You're absolutely right. But it snowballed, and it's been a great experience.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
look, I got one final question, right?
Okay.
So this is ultimately about recovering strong Black woman. So my
All right.
question for you is, what advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh. Express who you are fully earlier, as early as you feel it.
Hmm.
I feel like that my upbringing did not allow me to be fully expressive of who I was, on many levels. Even from the way I thought, my sexuality, everything. Right. But I would tell myself, fight for who you really are much earlier
Right.
than you did.
Right. Whew. That's it.
Yeah.
We are not, especially in the South,
Yeah.
right? Young women are not given voices, and it certainly isn't encouraged. And I know when I was younger, it's you're bossy. Well, damn, I can't just be confident. I can't be
Right.
knowledgeable. I can't be, aware. I can't be speaking my truth.
Yeah.
There aren't words for that. So it's important that we create circles for women, especially younger women. It's like, all this is, how do we get more people at a younger age to understand their power? Because
Hmm.
then they will accept much less in life, and they will
Oh, most
completely
most
different.
definitely, most definitely. I think I say all the time I was raised by a baby boomer, right? and that is a and that is a generation that ignored everything,
Yeah.
right? They ignored their own callings, I believe, to a certain degree. They ignored their own emotions. They definitely ignored their own trauma, and it definitely passed down the generations, right? And I feel like that a lot of the trauma that I've had to work through has been because of the way I was raised, because of the trauma that my mother went through, because I was raised based on my mother's fears, not the person who I was.
Ooh.
I wasn't cultivated to be who I
Yeah.
was and really, tap into that. No, I was raised on the fears that my mother had from her own trauma. Period.
That's some real shit.
Yeah. And it took me a long time to really figure that out. But when I figured it out, it was really powerful. And I knew it was a good starting point. Like, I knew what I needed to do. And it also it helped me to realize one of my biggest gifts, and this, is cooking. It is
Okay.
yeah, like
Listen.
it's a skill that I have, but it is something that I never liked to do. Right, I was forced to do it my whole upbringing, and on a large
In big
scale,
ways. In big
big,
ways. I mean,
big
Obama
ways.
was coming over, and
Right.
everybody
And
was
I'm talking
coming
about on a regular Sunday,
over.
okay? And so, but what I realized is that my not me being forced to cook was part of my mother not dealing with her own trauma, right? And because she did not, in order to keep to keep her safe
Yeah.
and not have to deal with those traumas, she used me as a way to keep the idea going that she was still able to do the things that she used to do. And once I really tapped into that and realized that my hatred of cooking at one point, even though I have even though I have, the skill to do it, um, everything changed.
Yeah.
And now it's like I get in the kitchen and I enjoy it. But it really took me healing the trauma that my mother inflicted on me from not healing her own trauma to get to the point to where I really enjoyed cooking. And now here I am with the whole food side of my business.
Okay. Oh, alkaline because that already is something else. Like there's one, I
Yeah.
was telling one of my friends who recently transitioned, I said, now, honey, I said, wait till you get alkaline. Because I was like, there's a whole hierarchy, but like, I mean, there's a whole pureness. So it's a whole different skill set. But the other
Right.
thing I'll say is there is something about like awareness in itself. I don't know about you. A lot of times when even if I'm at therapy and something comes up, once I see it, it's like I see it, I greet it. I'm like, oh, that's why. Then
Right.
go right on out. In my experience with that area, whatever it is, it's completely different. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
now open. It's like whatever was clogged, whatever that lack of awareness was clogged. Now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, get on out. And then the experience is different. It sounds like that too was, your flow is that once you understood, you could then you can cultivate a whole different experience within to a place of like,
Right.
I do enjoy this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was something that I ran from for a long time. Right. And then also going vegan helped me to also become more creative with food than I was ever even taught to be. So that also opened up a whole nother avenue of creativity for me, and to use the knowledge that I did have about food, and create what I've created so far with Natural Wonder Food.
Mhm. Well, listen, I'm here for it. Now you gotta let the good people know where to find you. We'll connect all the links down below. So, Crystal, where can people get in contact with you for
Yes.
for altar work, for any of this good stuff?
Gotcha. So yes, so on Instagram, we have two Instagram pages. We have Natural Wonder Inc., which is where I post about sound healing as well as the spirit side of the business, products and things like that. And then we also have Natural Wonder Food, which is all about my food journey, healing through food, as well as my weight loss journey. Because of going vegan, I have lost all 80 pounds.
Hello.
Yes. So it's also that it's kind of I use it as, of course, displaying about the food side of it, but also as empowerment for people wanting to lose weight and deal with because I've been dealing with my weight all my life. And I know that's something that a lot of people deal with. And so I use it for that. But I also have a website where you can purchase all of the merchandise as well as the sound healing sessions. I do private and group sessions. And that is www.naturalwonderinc.atl.com.
And you do sound healing in virtually, in person.
Well, for right now, I'm just doing virtual because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So right, yeah, because of the pandemic right now, I'm just doing it virtually. And because I have big goals. I want to open up a Natural Wonder Sound Studio, which actually would be a space for me to practice as well as other sound practitioners to come in and use the space for private sessions as well as group sound baths.
So, ladies, if you're trying to get your chakras aligned ahead of the new year,
Yes.
but for me, like December is a very transformative time where I really come
Right.
into awareness of what I'm going to be manifesting, what I feel like I'm going to manifest.
Right.
Sound healing, these practices are something definitely you can incorporate to kind of use as a catalyst so that whatever you're manifesting out of the highest vibration and awareness, right? So,
Right.
are you setting up for this or can you really have this? So I would highly encourage you to consider that. And then the food journey, the other thing that just like plug out, I'll say for this is what's nice about your food journey is that a lot of times when you see, once again, you're seeing more people of color in the vegan space, but in the alkaline space, you see very, very little.
Right.
What is really nice is that you show that you can still like eat well, like it doesn't have to like crap. Like
correct.
It is vegan soul food. And
yes,
listen, y'all, let me tell you, that's a whole different type of experience than some of the stuff you like. It's not salads and just nuts and berries. Like,
right.
Be eating good in the
yes. Yeah, I tell people I am definitely I am vegan, alkaline vegan more specific, but I am still a Southern cook. Believe that. Like my food has to have texture and flavor. Like I can't, because I'm very much a foodie. And if I can't enjoy the food, I definitely, it won't stick. I won't stick to it, and I feel like that's true for all people. There has to be, there's a certain enjoyment to food, and you have to be able to, you have to have it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm starting with the seasoning blend, because I think a lot of people, start a vegan journey and then they get off of it because they just don't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
What else
Yeah. Right,
What else
exactly.
do I eat?
And then this is where I have to check my ego with food, because food knowledge is so easy for me, right?
And I told her
I
about
have
this.
yeah, like, it comes so easily to me that when people struggle, I'm like, well, why are you? I mean, it's food. Like, the only thing you're not eating is meat, and I have to remind myself, oh, Crystal, everyone's not you.
That's your
Everyone,
blessing.
right? Everyone doesn't have that same skill set. It's everybody's journey is different. Some people need a little more guidance than others. Whereas going vegan for me was nothing.
Just remove out the fish, we good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I literally just, to me, when I think of vegan food, it is void of two things, and that is animal flesh and animal byproduct. Other than that, every other food on this earth is available to you.
Yeah.
But because the SAD diet, standard American diet, is so, it's full of those two things, we think that giving those two things up, you're going to be deficient or you're not going to have anything to eat. Whereas there's like 80,000 things on this planet that you could be eating.
Awareness. It goes.
Yeah, awareness.
And it goes back to, once again, questioning the status norm.
Right.
I never grew up. Now, we're not even going to talk about my brother because he eats anything from the roots to the tutor. But growing up, I never had beef or pork. I still have never had beef or pork. I'm still a huge meat eater, and largely there are most days of the week where I'm just eating like veggies and fruits. I've always liked that. But unlike Crystal, listen, I can't whip it up yet, right?
Right.
Listen.
Please listen. That is very true. You have always been. Listen, I can remember. Let me tell a story about Iman, okay? So Iman's parents were going out of town, and Iman stayed with my family for like a week, okay? And I want you to understand, she showed up with unshucked ears of corn. She showed up with, like, bags of rice. The girl can just eat rice, like nothing on it. I can remember one time we went to the Universal Studios, and the child ate onion rings but took the breading off of it and would just suck the onions. Like, you've always been that way.
Oh, it's true.
It is. Yes. That is. Oh God. Yes.
So she used to always have salad with just like
yes.
Honey, no dressing. I don't listen.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yes.
I love my parents because they never cooked like salad meals. My mom was vegan, and that was back before vegan was like cool. So like, you eat weird stuff, right? There's not a whole lot of information. And my dad, he was just eating Chinese food. So I'm figuring out now, but we got to tap into with the seasonings and recipes, and I know more things to come from the food side, because there's so much education that we have to like just bring back into the Black households when it comes to food to shift that and make it simple. I mean, because for me, one of the things when I lived in Atlanta, and I went out to like some of these seminars about like, going vegan and plant-based, and I've been able to incorporate a lot of that stuff. But the thing is, I'm like, y'all, I'm not about to be cooking nothing with 32 ingredients.
That
It's better before that.
That is, but you know what? This is the thing. That's okay. So our food, especially in the South, is so rich because of animal fat, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So when you take that animal fat out, you have to have something to replace it. But we're conditioned to think that you need a lot to replace it.
Instead of just
instead of just the right things. Exactly. And I completely agree with you. Even though I have found a better love of cooking, I'm not going to be in the kitchen 3 and 4 hours. I'm just not. I'm not giving up. I'm not, even though it is part of my business, I am still not going to be in the kitchen that doggone long trying to come up with the meal. It has to be simple.
Yeah, simple and good. It can be both. You ain't have to, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We're
No.
gonna
No.
bring
No.
you back for some recipes and some additional information in the new year. So,
Yes.
y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to Recovering Strong Black Woman and our guest,
Yes.
Crystal. All the
Yes.
additional information will be down below. Please check her out for sound bath healing, for the altar tools, for the alkaline vegan seasonings coming soon. So a lot of different things to really
Yes.
jumpstart your new year. So please enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on both of our pages, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you guys. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.